It was a dark and stormy night when a group of teenagers decided to explore the abandoned hospital on the outskirts of town. The old building had been closed for years, and the stories about its dark past only added to its intrigue. As they approached the hospital, they noticed that the front gate was open. Despite the fact that the hospital was supposed to be off-limits, they couldn't resist the temptation to investigate. They stepped inside and were immediately struck by the eerie silence that surrounded them. They made their way through the corridors, their flashlights illuminating the peeling wallpaper and the rusted equipment that littered the floor. As they explored, they heard strange noises coming from the dark corners of the building. They brushed it off as their imaginations playing tricks on them, but their unease continued to grow. As they reached the top floor of the hospital, they noticed a set of double doors that were slightly ajar. They approached them cautiously, and as they pushed them open, a gust of wind swept through the room, slamming the doors shut behind them. The room was pitch black, and the only sound they could hear was their own breathing. Suddenly, they heard footsteps approaching them from the darkness. They shone their flashlights in the direction of the sound, but they couldn't see anything. The footsteps continued to approach until they were standing right in front of them. That's when they saw it. A figure in a white lab coat was standing in front of them, its face obscured by shadows. The teenagers froze in terror, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, the figure lunged at them, and they ran screaming from the room. As they made their way back down the corridors, they noticed that the walls were covered in blood. They saw strange symbols scrawled on the walls, and they heard whispering coming from the darkness. They were being chased by something, but they didn't know what it was. Finally, they burst out of the hospital and into the rain-soaked streets. They turned to look back at the building, and they saw the figure in the white lab coat standing in the window. Watching them, they knew then that they had stumbled upon something evil, something that they could never fully comprehend. Years later, the teenagers would still shudder at the memory of that night. They never spoke of it to anyone, and they never went back to the hospital, but the legend of the abandoned hospital lived on, as new stories circulated about the ghosts that haunted its halls and the evil that lurked in its shadows.